There's something rare about the ones who chase dreams so big, they risk breaking under the weight of them.
I've been doing it for 20 years.
Some runners lace up to finish, others lace up to arrive, and then there are the few, the obsessed, the committed, the borderline unreasonable.
So this show's about you again?
Who wake up every morning and run toward the impossible. Today, we're sitting down with a man who's not just chasing miles, he's chasing Olympic trials.
What?
Like that rhyme?
Are you serious?
This is the story of how a soccer player turned marathoner found passion in pain, overcame injuries and obstacles, but found his stride anyway. This is Xavier Smith. Cue that intro music.
Says you need to fly to reach the top. Keep beating your block till your feet are hot. Get your head out the sand, join the flock. It's okay to run scared, we enjoy it a lot.
Welcome back to the Ostrich Running Podcast. Today's guest, Xavier Smith.
Xavier.
Marathoner. And your most recent OC marathon winner.
Are you serious?
An elite runner.
And he's on your podcast?
He's on my podcast. We're very lucky. Isn't that crazy?
Wow. What the?
I know. I'm very lucky to even get somebody like that. An elite runner building toward the 2028 Olympic trials. We dive deep into the mindset, the miles, the sacrifices that come with chasing the dream of becoming one of the best in the world. From slow starts to 100-mile weeks, this episode is for every runner who's ever wondered if greatness could really come from grind.
Holy crap.
Welcome to the show.
We have a celebrity on here today.
I know. Welcome to the show, Xavier. We really appreciate you. Please tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me. First of all, my name is Xavier Smith. I'm 25, or actually going to be 25 next week. And then, just marathoner, trying to make it to the Olympic trials. Just working hard, married, 2 kids. Yeah. So
we got a father, 25 years old father, trying to make it to the Olympic trials. This is my form of you always ask me, Jared always asks me, why the further distance and not a faster time?
Right.
Well, hopefully today we get to answer that question, because I don't ever try to run anything faster. I just go further, because running faster is a whole different breed of athlete. As I've mentioned to you before, I don't understand how you sustain that pace, but I think we're going to get into that too. So, you started out as a soccer player though, actually, right? So what pulled you into running?
Let's go.
Yeah, he's a soccer player.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
Soccer.
I love soccer too. I played soccer for 10 years of my life. Was super into it. Actually got a scholarship to play club soccer when I was younger. So that was kind of my first love when it came to sports. And I actually wanted to do it in high school too. And I don't know if you guys are religious or whatever, but I think God works in mysterious ways. And I think one change in trajectory kind of changed my whole career path when it came to sports. And it all came down to my freshman year. I was trying out for the El Toro high school team. And usually the tryouts happen in the summer. So it's just like I think it's a month or 2. And everything was going good. We had summer games and I was performing really well in them. And I think towards the very end of the season, like summer season, I ended up getting hurt really bad. And after that, I was kind of questioning whether it's something I could still do. And sadly enough, found out that injury actually prevented me from making the team. And I was upset at the time. I was like, man, this kind of sucks. Like, what do I do from here? And I definitely knew I wanted to do something. I actually ended up doing PE freshman year, but I was like, that's not what I want to do.
Which is crazy for an athlete to go in. You're like, yeah, I'm in PE. Here we go. You know,
exactly.
What kind of injury was it?
I think it was like a quad injury, something pretty bad.
Yeah.
Like tore a muscle or something like that.
Some dude ended up kicking my leg pretty hard, and it got to the point where I was limping for a good maybe 3 to 4 weeks. And that was basically the end of the summer training. And I'm pretty confident that I would have made the team if that didn't happen. But like I said, things happen for a reason. And then after that incident, I ended up trying out for the cross country team, and yeah, everything changed from there.
What position did you play? I'm just interested.
Yeah, he was.
I played midfield. I've always been like a good, like always had good endurance. Yeah. So yeah. I would always say sense. My position was like wherever the ball was I would go. So
that's me out there. I run out in every game. It's a pickup game, but you you can guarantee that no matter where you are on the field, you look over your shoulder, I'll be on you. Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
So before soccer, you didn't play any sports at all?
No, it was basically just soccer.
Yeah, as a teenager, pretty much.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, okay. Now, soccer, the injury, right? And then you find yourself trying out for the cross country team. What brought you into that? Was there still some sort of infatuation, or did you just have friends who just said, hey, come try out for this, this cross country team? Or were you aware of running? Have you ever had people that were runners around you in your life? What brought that on?
It's a great question. I would say that I don't know if I always enjoyed running, but I was always like good at it in a way. And I think in middle school there was a club. It was called Mile Club, and it was something that I always wanted to get for some reason. And I think it was like you had to run a mile in 6:15 or whatever. And looking back, it's not really that hard for me, but I think when I first achieved it, I was super proud of it. And that's when I kind of knew that, like, yeah, I'm pretty good at this. And I went into high school, like I said, not really knowing what I wanted to do. But I remember distinctly in my PE class, my teacher kind of told me that, like, I shouldn't be in PE and I should try something else, because every week we would do a mile time trial. Yeah. And I was always the one that was
always the only one who's actually trying, and
So I would try super hard, lap everyone, and it got to the point where people were like, even like making fun of me for it, and like kind of trying to mess me up while I'm running around the track. And I think I ended up running like 540s or 550s, kind of just chilling in PE.
Not even trying.
And my PE teacher was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna talk to the cross country coach for you, because you shouldn't be
good on class." That coach, man, to even like, because somebody could just easily sit there and just like, whatever, they're here on PE, but like, shout out to that coach. I mean, for at least recognizing.
I think I was lapping people too sometimes. My PE teacher didn't
care.
No.
Maybe they just didn't like you. Maybe he's a nicer guy than you are.
It seems like it.
That's very cool. So he recommends, let me talk to this coach. How did the tryout go? Obviously, I'm assuming you made the team, because you're a very good runner.
Yeah, so I showed up the first day in like, I don't know what kind of shoes I had on, but showed up first day, like flat shoes, definitely not shoes you should be running in.
You're going to run in those Converse, sir?
Something close to that. And the coach was like, yeah, the first thing you need to do is get new shoes. And tryouts really weren't like tryouts. It was like, if you want to be here, you can be here, kind of thing. And at the time, my mom was like, I'm not going to buy you shoes until you actually know that you want to do this.
Classic parent.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, she's like, I'm not spending money on this if you're going to quit. Right. So that kind of made me want to do it even more, just to prove her wrong. But ran the first day. I think I ran 4 miles, and I had some friends I knew on the team already, so I was just running with them, talking with them. And I'm not gonna lie, the first day or the first day after, I was like really contemplating whether I wanted to keep doing it, because I was more sore than I've ever been in my whole life. I couldn't fathom it being like that every day. And obviously, knowing now, it's not like that every day.
You eventually get some sort of resilience to that,
Exactly.
Yeah, which is always like, I think a fun challenge too, right? When your body starts getting used to certain things, right? I like when I added a new type of workout, a new hill sprint, or like, some new trail, right? And you're done with it, and the next 2 days are like, I'm actually kind of sore. This is actually kind of nice to you look for that
Because
sore
I feel like
feeling.
my body, I always keep running faster. So my body never gets used to running. Like the pain never goes away.
He's not a runner, okay, and he wants the runs to be over. He would have been the person to give up on that immediately. He would have just been like, no,
I ran track. Yeah.
this is good.
I did not like it. Yeah.
So, what did that like? What was that moment? How did you convince yourself to stay?
It was hard, but I feel like deep down, I'm not like a quitter. And if I set myself out to do something, I'm going to at least see it through. I'm also a pretty competitive person too, which I think goes hand in hand with this sport, because once you achieve a goal, you always want to do better. You always want to go for the next step. So yeah, I just kept doing it. At least gave it another week or two and see if things felt better. And then also had friends on the team who were just telling me, yeah, it gets better. You're going to enjoy it. And yeah, they kind of just, I'm glad I stuck with it. And yeah, now I'm here.
Did you come in dead last the first day or middle of the pack?
It was funny. I think it was, I don't know how long everyone had, but no, I was keeping up with my friends actually. Had a couple of friends that they were kind of talking to me about it. And yeah, my kind of like ego, I would say, I'm like, no, I'm not gonna run the back of the pack. I'm gonna try to keep up with these varsity guys or whatever. So I kept up with them, which maybe is why I felt super sore that day.
Probably.
But no, yeah, I definitely ran with them that day.
Do you remember how far you guys ran?
Yeah, it was 4
4
miles.
miles, you said. Okay.
Distinctly remember the trail too. I run that trail all the time actually. And yeah, it was a good run, I think. I definitely didn't feel bad during the run, but after.
Yeah. So you're a soccer player, right? You go, you try out, you do these runs, you make a team, you probably do some races, right? When did it click with you that you're like, oh man, I'm actually like not just doing this to like feed my need to be athletic. I might actually be a runner. What was that moment like for you? And was it early on, or did it take years, and maybe you're still not even feeling like that, but was there a moment, where you looked and you're like, oh my gosh, I think I'm a runner, like who's good at this?
It's a great question. When I started running, I was pretty bad in comparison to my teammates. And it was kind of a difficult like pill to swallow, because like I said, I thought in middle school, I was always like a pretty decent runner. But then when you get to high school and there's varsity, JV, there's standout freshmen, you kind of look at, or you see yourself comparing to others. And you're just like, wow, like this is not where I need to be. Can't remember what we did 3 miles, and I can't remember what my first 3 mile was, but it had to have been like a 26 or 27, like something super slow.
He said super slow, and I'm like, Jared, I just ran 28 minute 3 mile today. How fast am I? Okay, I appreciate you, man. Don't worry about it. It's okay.
I just remember that race being the worst race ever, and I just vowed to like not let that happen again. But yeah, I wouldn't say that I felt like I was really a runner or like a good runner until it would have been junior year. Cause I started sophomore year, freshman year I did PE, and junior year is when I made this crazy jump, and everyone on the team was kind of surprised and like couldn't really believe it. And I would say my team in high school was like a click kind of team, where it was like, if you're running fast, you have all the friends or whatever. And like, if you're not, you're kind of left out.
They don't text you to go to run club with them. And like, no, don't invite Xavier. He's only running 28 minute 5Ks.
I mean, that's how it felt, man. It was like a part of me. I know you asked me about like my why on the little questionnaire, and part of it, I think it changed a lot during the years. But I think part of me, I think the why back then was like more to like fit in and kind of get those friends that I was kind of looking for in that moment. And I would say a lot of the friends that I do have to this day are from that, I would say, varsity team or the teams I've ran with for a couple of years. But yeah, like I said, I think the time I really felt like I was a runner was that jump from sophomore to junior year. I had the biggest improvement on the whole team. I went from, I think it was like around 17 minutes in the 3 mile to like 15 minutes. So a 2 minute jump in 1 year.
What did you do?
Yeah.
What did you do to get better?
Hold on, let me get my pen.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, it's not rocket science, but it's just like, I guess, just working harder than others. I train with the varsity, and like I said, I kind of got laughed at first because they're just like, what are you doing up here? You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing this mileage for? What are you doing these workouts with us for? Because you're not going to be able to keep up or whatever. And I remember a run. I was like leading a run. I don't know if it was just an easy run or a long run or whatever, but I was leading this run, and I could hear like them kind of behind me saying like, oh, he's going to die off or whatever, something like that. Yeah. And it's so funny how high school running works, but obviously they didn't mean it like in a, hate.
Right.
They're just, I mean, and as a runner, like we see this on races, right?
Mm-hmm.
You do these long, 50, 100-mile trail races, or even a marathon distance, right? Like you'll see some of the guys and you're like, "Who is that guy going to sustain this pace right now? Like this is crazy."
Yeah,
and
I
then,
think that too,
and then you give them the look, 32 miles in, and you're like, "You did come out a little fast there, buddy."
Right.
Yeah. So
exactly.
I'm sure it was just like that. Like their experience is just saying this is a recipe for disaster. So did you die out?
No. So I kept up, finished the whole long run. And I'd say like, yeah, if you want to get better, you got to train with people that are better than you. And it's okay to get dropped every once in a while. It's okay to not have the best days, but if you keep working towards it and just doing things you haven't done before, that's how I've found success. Whether that be doing more mileage or doing faster workouts, doing more hills. And something I've been trying to work on now is, I think getting in more hill training has been a focus for me on this current block, I would say, just because you never know what marathon course is going to look like. And you always want to be ready for whatever comes your way. Like, even for example, I would say the OC marathon course wasn't the hardest course in the world, but it's my first time doing it. And I didn't know where the hills were located in the course. That kind of bit me in the butt a little bit, but I
Not
think
too
that
much.
Yeah.
just a little. I got off a little, but I still got the win.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it was a nice race.
Yeah.
What was your time in the OC?
in the OC marathon?
Yeah.
2:23:41, I believe.
Something like that, which
Something
is
like that,
insane.
Insane. Yeah, because that was my time in the half marathon. So
Yeah, dude. I mean,
it's around 2.
yeah, like the hills is I agree. I take a lot of these ultra runs that I've done previously, right? And I evaluate my performances after. And, I don't necessarily pick a specific race that I'm going to do, but I know that like when I did, it's called That's No Moon. It's a 50-miler. And that's where I first learned about Black Star Canyon in our backyard, right? And I was running that thing, and I'm like, okay, just kind of run, walk the hills to keep it easy. But that obviously, like, that whole thing was up and down, up and down. But I get to this portion of the race of what I felt like was super far into it. But now I know it's like only probably 8 miles into it. But I'm watching people like an ultra runner who I saw on there, Jake Jackson. And he is just crushing up this hill, just still running at that point. And he looks at me, and another guy was kind of walking with, he's like, "You guys are crushing it. Keep going." Right. Super nice guy. And I'm just like, this freaking guy, man, as he's crushing these hills. Right. And, come to find out that he made, the men's 24-hour national running team, right? And he's like a really good ultra runner. But watching him crush these hills, right? And then me killing myself on the downhills to make up the time that I lost but I finished it, right? And I go and I'm post race. I'm like, dude, this course is right here. If I can master this course and I could just run this whole thing, I know I can just knock it out, right? And that became my goal after that race, was like, I'm going to run up until this point, and my goal is to make it to this 8-mile turnaround point without stopping running, right? And it took some time, but I finally like there, and now I go beyond that. You know, I know that trail like so well, but it's so nice to set like to do something challenging, overcome it, and learn from what it is that you can do. And now in this next race that I have is in Big Bear, so I'm really focusing on hill sprints, you know, high elevation climbs, running up these things, because I need to beat my legs up and get ready for, you know, what's about to come over there. I don't know the course really well. I ran up there when we went to Big Bear. That part of the course is there in there. So I've seen a little bit of what the trails look like. And I'm trying to mentally prepare myself for what's going to come. I'm nervous, but I think, you know, this is what you talk about. Like, you're going to have bad days, right? And I do have some bad days, but I know that, you know, with those bad days, eventually I'll crush a segment that I never would have crushed. And, you know, it's just such an ego boost to be able to run up a crazy hill and look out and just be like, not too many people run this, you know? So you got to kind of appreciate that at some point. Right. So, yeah, like, what was that first race that, you know, put the Olympic trials on the radar? Or has this always been a goal since you got done with high school? Or would you say like, oh my gosh, actually, let me backtrack this. OC Marathon. Did you think you were going to win that race? No. And what happened, dude?
Not at all.
How many people are in it?
Oh, that's a huge marathon, man. I mean, it's like one of the biggest marathons here in Southern California, right? Wow. It's just, you know, some people, it's crazy to think about this because this is our backyard, right? But this is a bucket list marathon for people. You know, they want to run that ocean. They want to see that. And that was my first marathon I ever ran.
Okay.
And it's a beautiful course.
Did you come in second?
I came in second, to last. Yeah, it was great. You know, people were cheering for me. You know, they're like, "There he is! I was so happy you did it." So you run this race, right? You didn't think you were going to win it. What were you shooting for?
So at first, I was just shooting for a PR. My PR is 2:22. I ran my debut at CIM, and going into the race, I think I was ranked third, I believe. So there's already two dudes pretty far ahead of me. One dude, I think he had a PR of 2:14, but hasn't run that in a couple of years. So I didn't know what kind of shape he was in. And then one of my friends actually that I train with sometimes, Esteban, actually has run 2:19. He ended up getting second at OC, and he ended up running 2:19 at CIM. So we were kind of in the same races, local races and everything. But I knew he was kind of, at least at the time, in a little bit of better shape than me. I don't know how he felt on race day, but that's kind of how running works.
Yes, right? Isn't it crazy? Like,
which is cool. And then, I mean, I guess not cool sometimes.
Yeah, right? If you're on the other end of that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you go in, you run, you're like, I'm just trying to PR, right? And at what moment were you like, oh gosh, I got this? Or I mean, it's so hard at times because I know personally, I'm just in the zone, right? I'm not even really thinking about anything until the run is done. And I'm like, oh, dang, I just like went the fastest I've ever gone in that segment. Was it like
I mean,
that?
I can't even imagine being in like the top 3 of a marathon.
Yeah,
like, are they neck and neck? Like,
it's not as exciting as you think, but it is exciting though. Like,
are you just looking around like he's 3 seconds?
Well, and I also feel like it's difficult, you know, to judge in a marathon like that because there's so many distractions, right? You have half marathoners just running. You have marathoners that are out or either, well, in my case, already turning around while I'm still going through, right? But there's a lot going on, right? So like, you just got to go based off of what you're seeing on your watch or, you know, what's around. But, you know, you weren't leading that whole race, you know? So, right. Like what was that like in the moment where you were like, okay, I think I might actually win this thing. How far in, or did you not notice until the end?
Yeah. So going into it, we started off and I immediately got into like third place. and the top 2 runners kind of went off. They were maybe less than 5 seconds ahead of me. I still had sight on them. And the OC marathon course is kind of, I'd say like maybe unique in the way that it's like you get most of the downhill in the very beginning of the course, and then you kind of have to start fighting your way off the last half. But yeah, we get to the first mile, and I'm basically with them at that point. And then that's when you get the huge drop down where it's like around negative 100 elevation or whatever. And at that point, I made the decision to just kind of ride the downhill in a way, because I was like, if I'm only getting downhill at this moment, I might as well use it and kind of just ride it and not use too much energy on it. Ended up passing both the guys, and I think that mile was like a 4:48 or something, like something insane. And I get through that mile, and I'm just like, oh no, did I make a mistake? Like what's gonna happen?
Makes you
now?
doubt yourself when you're looking around. You're like,
no, for sure, because I dropped all of them by
he's
maybe
flashing back to high school when they're talking behind his back, like, this guy's gonna burn out. Watch him.
Maybe that's what they were thinking. But yeah, I had a good maybe 20-second lead on them at that point. And I think I rode it for another 2 or 3 miles. And by mile, I want to say 4 or 5, the 2:14 dude caught up to me, which I was pretty surprised. I was like, okay, like I'll have someone around with at least for a little bit. And I'm not going to lie, he didn't seem that friendly.
Yeah.
He didn't.
Yeah. You're like, I'm not talking to this guy.
Because for me, it's like with running, for example, at my CIM marathon, I didn't know what was happening first marathon, but I wanted to just kind of feel it out. And I ended up running with these guys that I paced with for like most of the marathon. So I was kind of thinking like maybe that will happen the same thing with OC, and I'll have someone around with, have someone to talk with, and like get through it together. And
Wait, so you guys talk after all that? Like
Yeah,
you guys will
man.
have conversations?
So for the first half, or at least for CIM, I was talking, chilling. It was something unreal, like something I couldn't even really put into perspective, because I don't know how I was feeling that good going 5:20 pace for half the marathon. But yeah, no, it was pretty chill. Even my wife was like, no, you're not trying hard enough if you're talking.
That's what I'm
You
thinking.
need to stop
Yeah.
it.
I'm like, all that energy could be being
Yeah,
used.
no,
Good,
for
man.
sure.
She's out there pushing. It's like, no,
Yeah.
you close your mouth
Yeah,
and you just
exactly.
go.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
So
man.
yeah, so back to the OC marathon. Yeah, he didn't seem too friendly, and I was trying to work with him, and he was like, I got the feeling that he was trying to like drop me as fast as possible. And so instead of running side by side on him, I just kind of sat right behind him and started drafting off of him. And,
Wait, is it a real thing, drafting too, in running?
yeah, I would say so. I mean, it depends on the weather, but yeah, I was just going his pace, whatever he wanted to go. And we ended up clicking off like 5:15s, which was a little faster than I wanted to go for like the flat portions, but I was feeling good. And it wasn't until mile 8 that was like, I would say, the hilliest part of the course. And at that point, he made a pretty hard surge to like really drop me. And that's when he gapped me by a good, I want to say 10 to 15 seconds. And so that gap was sustained for like maybe until mile 13, 14. Like it wasn't like he was gaining more time on me. It was just that gap that he...
And you were holding strong there with them.
I was just holding strong right behind. But I didn't want to push any more on the hill, because you don't want to push on or surge on the hill. You kind of just want to crest it and then move on the downhills or the flats. So it wasn't until mile 13 or 14 where I started catching him, and my wife and my mom were on the sideline saying like, you're catching him, like you're inching closer to him. And I was like, oh crap, like I might actually be able to win this, because at this point in the race, it was really just me and him. And when I ended up passing him, I was still being nice. I patted on my hip and I was like, come on, let's go, like let's work together. He still wasn't having it, and I was like, all right, here.
Yeah, cool. Now I don't feel bad.
Yeah.
I tried, man.
So I think after mile 15, I was like, oh, I have a really good chance of winning this. Like, there's no one in sight. Like, I'm gapping the competition, and I felt really good going into, I think, mile 20. And I think mile 20 is when I kind of hit the wall a little bit, and I ended up clicking off like 5:56 minute pace.
What a
or
wall
whatever.
to hit.
Yeah, what a wall. I mean,
Man, you're so slow.
you guys are in a different universe. I don't even.
Slow. And he asked me, why don't you get faster and just try to be better in a marathon? That's because this is what I have to
But this
compete
sounds
with.
super interesting. Yours
My
is just
stuff
I'm
is
out in the woods by myself running
taking
100.
a bathroom break and
Yeah,
eating
yeah.
and
Like I
throwing.
gotta take a bathroom. Like, what am I gonna eat? I like his race. It's just going.
So you get there and you're these 20 miles and you hit this insane wall at 5:50 minute miles. Okay.
Okay.
What I tell you was hurt. It's like
Rough.
Yeah.
probably worse than I've ever felt before.
Really?
And I was so scared because I was like, did I go too early? Like,
Yeah.
like what's gonna
I
happen?
mean, yeah, you
Like,
still got a 10K
like,
left. Like, it's like,
exactly. Like at that point, I really wanted to win. And this was funny because this was the first year they added prize money to the OC marathon.
dang. Yeah.
So I was like, kind of in the back of my head, I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
that 1,000 sounds kind of good right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah. What's the prize money
$1,000.
like?
It was 1,000, and then second was 750.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
A
And
grand?
then
I might have
third
been
was
like,
500.
second. 250. Slow this down a
Free
little bit.
race entry.
Second's not so bad.
Yeah.
I just fought as hard as I could. Still clicked off 550s a little. I think it got down to 540s at the very end.
And were you still at that like 10, 15 second lead on him?
No. So by the end, I think I won by over 2 minutes. So I was scared for no reason. The people behind me were dying more than I was.
Oh,
So
man.
it all worked
Which
out,
is
yeah.
hard, right? Because you don't have the vision to see what's behind you. All you can do is just assume, all right, I need to keep pushing this and going just in case somebody is in striking distance. And then obviously when you start feeling bad like that, right? I'm not running that fast, but like I've had the moments where I'm like,
They
oh
gotta
my
be
gosh,
caning
I'm
on
in a
me.
neck to neck with the 236 place man and I'm 237. Then I
Right.
got to drop him.
Right. Do you guys ever turn around and look? Like, I'm sure you do, right?
I would turn around at like strategic points. I would say, like if I made a left turn and I was able to look over my shoulder real quick. I don't like looking back too much. So what I was doing actually, I think I saw my mom and wife maybe 4 times during the course, and I would ask them like every time. I'd just be like, how big's the gap or whatever, or how far away are they or whatever, and they were kind of hesitant to tell me because they weren't sure if that was like against the rules at that point. And it was funny because the biker actually started talking to me like during the race, and he was like, you're not doing anything wrong, but just be careful that your family and friends aren't helping you out in ways that could get you disqualified or whatever. And I'm like,
Especially
oh, like
that
did I do
last
something?
one that happened, that was just last
Yeah.
year's where
That was last year. Yeah,
where
yeah.
did I tell you about that?
No.
Basically, his dad handed him a water bottle like
Oh.
midway through on his bike, and he drank it and gave it back. When you can't get any assistance from anybody who's not part of the race,
Okay.
he won the race, and they stripped it and disqualified and put second place. Ended up winning.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Oh.
And he's actually the one that got second place this time. So he actually he is
So
DQ'd
now I
in first
get why
place
you're
last year.
Yeah,
why
you
he
really
didn't want to
wanted to
talk
beat
to
this.
anybody. He's like,
Yeah.
sorry.
Wait, so how
Not a good 2 years.
Yeah.
how is your mom and sister keeping up? Because to me, you're moving pretty fast. Are they just like they're just there and they just yell at you on the side, or is your wife trying to actually run a little bit with you for 2 seconds?
No, they don't run. They hate running.
Oh, good. That, see,
but
we
no,
something
it's,
we relate on. My wife is the same way. Don't listen to this,
Yeah.
Sally.
But
I think I'll
no,
try
they
and
would
run with
just-
them for like just 10 seconds and yell like a message.
10 seconds
Yeah,
of
just
fame
10
or something.
seconds.
And get in the video. But no, they would just drive in the car and try
Okay.
to find like
Which is tough
checkpoints
too, man,
to see
because the
me.
parking
Yeah, to
situation is
navigate it.
wild. I can't
Yeah.
believe they even found a spot
For
to,
sure.
Yeah.
duck off and go find that,
Mhm.
right?
No, it was really hard for them actually. I didn't see them for the first time until mile maybe 8, 9. Yeah, but they wanted to see me early on.
Mhm.
But yeah.
Yeah,
It was hard.
wild. Oh my gosh. So you end up winning. What does that feel like? And then, I'm sure it takes time to process some things. is that when did it give you some kind of validation, or did it just like, give you, just, or what is that? Like solid confirmation that you already
I like
knew,
that. Good job, Nick.
Did you get validation or confirmation? Oh, that was really nice, huh?
Solid confirmation.
Solid confirmation on what you already knew you were capable of.
I think it was a combination of both. I'm not sure if you saw the race video, but I was celebrating
I haven't, dude.
crazy.
Okay, so after this, send it to me, please, because I was looking for some. So when I put the promo clips together, I wanted something like that, and I could not find videos anywhere. So
I'll send it. Maybe I still have it. So actually, my team's Instagram actually got banned or suspended or something. I don't know, and it's been gone for a little over a month. But it was actually like my most liked post on Instagram, which is kind of funny. And it got deleted, and I was like, and I'm over here celebrating, screaming on the
don't
video.
worry, we're gonna put it back out there in the universe, and it's gonna live on my page.
What are you runners doing to get banned?
Oh man!
I mean, I know how you can get banned.
Don't ask me that question, man.
It wasn't my account, so I don't know what was going on.
What's going on in the running world?
I'm telling you, dude, this is the rock stars of the world, man.
Yeah.
We're like the troublemakers. Like you used to think like, oh gosh, runners, a bunch of nerds, right? And the jocks are the ones that are getting in trouble.
Yeah.
But I feel like these runners, dude, crazy bunch.
You don't want to know what happens on mile 20.
Nah. Oh man.
Yeah, but
yep. So it gave you confirmation and validation, a little bit of both. And then was Olympic trials already a goal that you set for yourself before this, or were you like, oh, I'm trying this now?
Yeah. So let me bring it back a little bit, and then we can continue on there. So I want to say maybe my last year in college, I was kind of thinking about it, and it was like, I feel like everyone prefers to do the shorter distance, or everyone wants to do the 1500, everyone wants to do the 5K or whatever. But I've always been good at the longer distances, and like, that's where I kind of make the most gains in my career. So I'm like, okay, I'm down to try a marathon. Maybe do a half marathon, see how I can do. Because realistically, the 5K standards and 1500 standards just aren't for me, at least at this moment. And I was talking to some of my teammates about it. Last year in college, and I'm like, I'm gonna run this standard in 2024. It's gonna be super easy. And that was kind of what I set out to do. And I feel like 100% I would have done it in 2024 if my senior season went better than I expected it to go. Because after cross country and track my senior year, I was kind of just like completely done with running. And it was kind of heartbreaking, to be honest, because I was running, that had to have been maybe 7 years at that point, 7 or 8 years. And it kind of sucked because I kind of put everything into running at that point, was working harder than I ever had before, and just wasn't seeing the results. I think a part of it was I did get injured pretty badly that I'm actually still dealing with it to this day. And it's kind of, just something that I deal with. Because at this point in time, surgery really isn't in question, which I think would be a good fix, but who knows when I'd be back to running
and if ever to return back to what it would be, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So it's something that I could deal with and doesn't affect me, especially at the longer distances. It's more when I'm pushing 430 pace or stuff like, so like if you want to be competitive, oh God, if you want to be competitive in the 5K, which is something I really was focused on in college, then that was something that it really affected. And haven't PR'd in the 5K in a few years, so I'm like, okay, it's time to move up in distance. And so after college, I didn't take too long off, maybe like a month or two. Kind of just needed a break. And then I got in contact with my current coach now. and joined his team. I was one of the first people to join the team. It was a brand new team.
And what's the name of the team?
Performance Elite Running Club. Yeah. And yeah, it's a good team. When I joined, there was almost no one on the team, maybe 3 or 4 dudes. I actually got introduced from one of my, I would say, acquaintances or friends I knew in college. We ran out kind of like rival schools, I would say. And yeah, so I trained with this coach for a little bit, and not gonna lie, I lied about running a lot, like running some of the runs. My coach would text me like, "Are you running?" And I'm the kind of guy where it's like, if it's on Strava, then I ran, and if it's not on Strava, then I didn't run. So it's kind of obvious whether I ran or not. And he would check Strava and just be like, "Yeah, have you been running?" And I'd lie to him and be like, yeah, like just not putting it on there.
Oh man, I left my watch back, but I did that run.
Right.
What a terrible time to be, a runner who's to be accountable.
Right.
Oh my God.
So I was lying about all these runs, which I've never done before in my life, and I felt so bad about it because he was coaching me, and I felt bad that he was taking time out of his day to kind of.
I'm sure you felt like you were cheating yourself too at some point, right?
No, for sure, and that's something I've never done in my career. But at the same time, like I said, I was kind of overrunning, and this was kind of just my maybe like second chance at like kind of proving myself. So all eyes on 2024 Olympic trials. I got out of college in 2023, so I had about, if it was in May, had about 6 months until CIM that year. That was probably the last chance, and still in decent shape at that point. I ended up winning my 4th of July 5K with like 1 week of training, which was really surprising to me. And then I ended up running, to be honest with you.
I'm not surprised.
I ended up running like 14:50 with like no training in the 5K. And I was like, is this real? Like what's going on? So I was like, okay, I'm ready. Like, let's train for the Olympic trials. But yeah, still on and off with running. I was more into like weightlifting, going to the gym, kind of bulking up a little bit. And
which probably had some advantages, later on. Like, it's like, oh, wait, because I mean, I think we're understanding now too more that, that strength training actually does go a long way.
It's helped you a lot, right?
It's helped me a ton. Not just putting miles in, but putting in weight training and time in the gym, lifting something has changed the game for me. That's why I'm winning all these 100-mile races.
You're killing it.
Yeah, no, I noticed it in my CIM build last year. I was going super consistently, 6 times a week to the gym. Wasn't running as much, maybe running 60-mile weeks, 70-mile weeks. So I had more time to do it, and wasn't working full time either. So I had a lot more time to go to the gym. And yeah, I noticed in my CIM build where I was able to keep up with these guys that were running a lot more mileage than me, running faster than me. And I don't know if I really believed that it was all the gym at that point, but I think it did make me a stronger runner for sure in the end.
Yeah. No, that sounds like it. And continue on. I didn't mean to cut you off. So, you're doing, that training and that run. What was it that's when you had the Olympic trials in mind? So what happens, when trials come up?
Yeah. So this had to be like a turning point in my career. Where it was a Long Beach half marathon. I want to tell you, it was probably the worst race I've ever run in my whole life. And this was when I was telling my coach I was running, and the half marathon was in October. I probably took like maybe 2 months off or something, no running at all. And I think I ran like the day before, maybe 2 days before, and like the day before pre-race or whatever. And I go into this half marathon, and I'm like, no, I'm still gonna, like I told you, I ran and won the 5K with like no training. So I'm gonna go into this half marathon. I'm gonna prove to people I can still do this. Worst race of my life. I went out in, I think 5:10s, 5:15s with one of my friends, and 5:10 average for like the first 7 miles. And then after that, when I actually tell you I hit the wall, like this is the actual wall, ended up running like 7:30s, 8-minute pace.
Wow. Yeah.
Like it was,
Dang, you're running as slow
was
as Nick.
Yeah. You're running
So-
like a normal
You're running
person.
like a guy over here.
so it was so bad, and I felt so embarrassed.
Did you
'cause my
cramp
coach
up
was there
or-
too.
Like,
No, I just wasn't training,
Yeah.
and my
And
legs just could
like
not.
full of lactic acid and just
it
not turning.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if I ran I think I ran close to like 80 minutes in the half marathon, which I mean wasn't the worst time because I went out so hard and kind of could die off a little
for
bit.
your level.
But
Yeah, for your level.
but yeah,
Yeah,
for my and then I finished the race and actually had to get like rushed to the hospital, or not hospital, but like the
medical tent.
what's the medical tent?
Yeah,
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 the
yeah.
medical tent, and they're like wheeling me off.
You're like,
with
oh
the-
my gosh, this is the most embarrassing thing ever.
with a wheelchair, and my wife and my mom are all like freaking out. They're like, oh my gosh, like what happened, and I'm just like sitting there in the tent like what happened, like
what happened?
what's going
I
on.
lied to my
Like,
coach and told him I
Yeah,
ran.
no, literally.
Was your coach there at the finish line? Like,
Yeah, so he was, and he checked up on me,
Yeah.
and then we didn't talk about it until like after.
Yeah, because that's the last thing you want to hear in that moment.
You
is
wanna
like,
hear it,
"Remember
yeah.
what I told you," and you're like, okay, dude.
Yeah, no, it was so bad. And he calls me after the race, and he's like, hey, like we need to talk. And I'm like, yeah, like what's up? And he's like, so be honest, like, have you been running, or like what's going on? And I told him I was like, honestly, like barely anything, like not as much as you've been prescribing to me. And then the next thing he said, he was like, yeah, we're not going to go for the Olympic trials anymore. And like after that sat with me for like, I don't know, a couple of days. And I was just thinking, I'm like, do I really have it in me to keep going? And I think at that moment I quit and like was just done, because that was my only goal for that year was to accomplish it. And like in hindsight and being realistic, he was right, but I didn't want to hear that. I didn't want to hear that like my dreams of qualifying that year were over. So he said he's gonna sign me up for another race in December instead of CIM, and I was kind of just like, okay, yeah, I'll do it, whatever. But little did he know, I just quit that. Like that moment I quit, and he still thought I was training. And I told him, I was like, yeah, I'll do this last race, but after that, I think I need to take some time off. I actually didn't even end up doing that last race, and ended up just quitting. And after that, I ended up quitting for almost a whole year. I think it was 8 or 9 months. I quit running. That was the longest I've ever taken off of running. And I was just so upset. I was like, because it was crazy to me too, because people that I would beat in high school qualified for that trials, and I knew that like if I just kept going with it, I would have been there on that line. Yeah,
You know,
So-
we had a psychologist on for one of our other
yeah,
episodes.
that's what I was going to ask.
And she speaks of this rat inside, right? And like we all, especially in these ultra distances, right? And even any runner really specifically, like we have these demons that kind of claw away inside you, right? And she asked the question, what happens when the rat inside goes quiet, right? Who do you become after that, right? So what I was going to ask you is like, okay, you're taking this eight to 9 months off, right? Of what your identity was really. What happened to Xavier? Like, who did you find out that you were? Was this
What
like
did you
a
feel
craziest
like?
struggle, like emotional, mentally? Like, what was that 8 to 9 months like when you were just done?
that you mentioned that actually, not the proudest of moments, if I will say. Partying a lot, which was definitely, if you ask anyone, definitely not like me. Was, if I'm being completely honest, drinking every weekend. Like a lot. My life was going downhill at that
And there's
point.
no shame in that,
And-
because I'm very open
No,
with
for
my
sure.
with my alcohol and drug addictions that I had in the past. So yeah,
Yeah.
you know, I
And I mean,
appreciate
this sounds
you.
like a great time to me.
Okay, so you're partying a lot, right? You're
Nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah, it sounds like a great time. Like, you know, if this was a different day,
Running your whole life,
Yeah.
working out every day of your life, and then
and then you earned it, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
done.
So you see, you're doing this partying, right? You're
Yeah.
somebody who you don't want to be, and what happens?
Yeah. So like, adding on to that, I was always a person that like avoided drinking or avoided going out because I wanted to be that best runner. And then when I didn't have that drive to be that runner anymore, that's what I kind of turned to. And I don't know, it was short-term fun. It was something that I enjoyed in the moment, but it wasn't good for my marriage, wasn't good for my family. A lot of I would say relationships got damaged because of it. And I had to kind of look into myself and kind of talk to God and figure out how I could be better and how I could get back to a life that I'm proud of and that my kids could be proud of. So it was hard, honestly. And yeah, I mean, 8 to 9 months is a long time. And I never really thought I would come back to running. And yeah, I guess I couldn't just stay away for too long. And
But I think it's beautiful, and it says a lot to your character too, that, you know, you acknowledged sometimes these faults are really hard to like bring to surface and be honest with yourself. Right. Look, or you can even go the route that I did, where I was honest with myself and I knew I had a problem, but I embraced this problem like it was a badge of honor. Right. And I'm like, I don't care about anybody else, you know. And it wasn't really until my kids came in and I'm like, dude, what do I need to change? Yeah. Right. Something has got to happen. Something, you nailed it. I want something that my kids can look on and be proud of their father. Right. And so you make this change, you start training. And
is that what inspired you to get back to running? Was it your kids? Like, did you pick yourself up? Did your wife talk to you?
Combination of everything, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was just a combination of everything. I mean, wasn't seeing my kids on like a daily basis, I would say, which kind of hurt me because I was obviously living with them and then I wasn't living with them for a little bit. And yeah, I mean, it just wasn't someone that I wanted to be. And you kind of mentioned a good point where you like, you knew there was a problem, but it was kind of just like, yeah, it's there. And for me, I was the kind of person that would blame other people for my problems. And that's how I lost a lot of friendships, a lot of relationships in that time, which looking back on it, there's so many things I could have done better. But yeah, it was just something needed to change. It wasn't a healthy lifestyle. And it just wasn't going anywhere. I was working part-time job and was damn near homeless at that point. So yeah, something definitely needed to change.
Man, I'm so proud of you, dude. Like, you know, great job. And, you know, you're grinding away at it and then you come back and you win the OC Marathon.
Yeah. What a story.
Know? Like, it's crazy. And I appreciate your vulnerability and your openness to share that aspect because, you know, it's hard, man, especially somebody like, I'm sure this is still fresh, right? You know, I'm probably 6 years into my recovery. And, you know, still actively in it every day. And sometimes, you know, the further you distance away from the past, right, it kind of, we reminisce on stories like, hey, do you remember this? Do you remember that? And and it's further and further away, but I always make sure I keep it close to me and I talk about it because most people will go through this. You know, it's a part of life. It doesn't make it, you know, the ups and downs happen, man. You know, so the best thing is to not beat yourself up too much about it. I mean, I was homeless, you know, just wasn't with my family and my kids, you know, because my wife had to, you know, tell me, dude, you know, you got to get out of here. You can't be here. Right. You know, so that was me too. And it's humbling and it is painful, especially when you come from a family and a life where that is the cycle, right? Where you've kind of learned these tendencies. And this is just in my experience, right? You learn these tendencies from a father figure in my case. Right. And I think what you did is great. And I think not only was that win, an example for your family and your kids to show a testament of what you put in the work, but it was also, you know, for yourself. That win is huge for you, man, to come back and do that. And I think it's amazing to have not too many. I honestly, have you ever met anybody who's had dreams of an Olympic trial
No.
workout? Like,
No.
that's just insane
I
that
have
you
not.
have this God-given gift and ability to even have that on your mind, right? And
For
as
that to even be a
a
possibility.
possibility, right? And from us, we hope that you reach that goal. I would love more than anything to see you, push through everything and make that. I think, not just, it doesn't have to be your story, but just actually going out there and swinging for it, right? Much like when I talk about with Jarrett and why do you do these crazy distances? And it's like, because I want to see if I'll fail, but like if I succeed, it shows that I just survived something that there was no way I probably thought I could have done. Right. So I think, we wish you the best of luck on that, man. I just think you're a great kid, dude. And, I really hope that we're in 2028 watching these,
Him on TV.
yeah, you on TV, dude. And so we also joked about this too, because we're looking at the qualifying times for the marathon, right? For the Olympic team. We're like, Jesus Christ, that's insane, dude. Like who's running this time? And then we're like,
well, they just got lowered.
yeah, it
too,
did.
Which is crazy. Yeah.
What is it? What is it again?
Is it 2:16? Okay, I thought it was 2:14 or something like that. Yeah, 2:16. But then we were saying, okay, everybody makes this, right? And then not only are you running to qualify for that, now you have to run the best race of your entire life when the race day comes, and
to make the actual team.
And then we can say like, oh, what place did you get the Olympic trials? I got last place. And like, dude, you ran like against the craziest
the pros.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. How does the whole process work, real quick? Like, first you qualify, and then what happens after that? For people who don't know.
So the window actually opens in September of this year, and my first attempt will probably just be CIM. I would say this year, because it all depends. I would say it all depends on the course you're running, and obviously you want to run a faster course if you want to run a faster time. So yeah, the time right now I got dropped from 2:18 to 2:16, which people are like freaking out about, because usually, I don't know how the standards have worked in the past, but I don't think there's ever been like a 2-minute jump, or at least like that substantial, going from, I think it was 5:16 average to 5:11. So everyone's like, bad for the sport, less people are going to be able to qualify, all this stuff. I guess it helps though, because it makes it more prestigious when you do qualify for it, which I don't know. I guess that's kind of how I look at it. It's like, you want to be proud of something that you qualify for. It's not, you don't want to be like qualifying for something that everyone could do or most people can do. So yeah, that's the goal right now. And I guess 2:16 could be a little intimidating, but I'm very confident that I could hit that at least in 2 years,
Right.
which is like the cutoff.
Dang.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
Then how
Just
fast
run
do you have to be?
26 miles uphill, 126 mile, the one marathon, and then when you go to do any qualifying run, you just crush it.
Then how fast do you have to be to win?
I'm sure.
to win the trials?
No, just to win the Olympics.
What would last?
to win the Olympics, probably a 2:02.
Get close to a
2:01,
right? That's
yeah,
up 2 hours.
something around there. I
Yeah,
would say.
and that's
Yeah.
where all the Ethiopians are out there. Just,
Yeah, they-
Yeah,
East
Kenyans,
Africans.
Ethiopians, they own the marathon for
they
sure.
do. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's okay. I mean, and this is what we discussed. We're like, dude, I wouldn't care. It's just to know that I'm in a qualifying field. In that is just amazing.
For sure.
Is that your goal, just to qualify, or how far?
For sure. I mean, realistically, making the actual team, the Olympic team, isn't like in the cards for me. At least not yet. It's more for the people that are backed by pro deals, like brand deals and stuff like that can focus their whole life on running, and that is their only job.
Ostrich running.
Hey, we talked about it.
Here we are. You never know, man. And I mean, like, how do you feel about that too? And I'm glad you kind of brought that up. Oh my gosh, I want to have you back on here. We're getting close.
I have so many more questions.
Oh my gosh, man.
I need to know what it was like getting back on the
it.
horse, like after those 8 months starting running again too.
Yeah,
And
you know what?
pressure.
I'm going to do this. And I normally don't do this. We're going to have to do a second part. Can we do a part two?
No, this was fun.
Okay,
Yeah, no,
can we
let's
do
it
a part
again.
two? We're going to do a
No, I
part
like
two
this.
because I
Okay.
want to ask you about what you feel like, somebody has to deal with who is a 9-to-5 worker
Yeah,
and trying
family life too. We didn't get into
accomplish
that.
these big goals and dreams. The family life, what it's like to be, in a family married to a partner who hates running, much like myself. We talk about this, and I think. We need to go into part 2. I'm calling it here today. We're going to stand by for a part 2.
I want to know if you're ever going to run ultras too.
That was what I wanted to ask you.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, crazy enough. Who would be crazy enough to go over a marathon? Like, that's all you need to do.
Exactly.
I don't know, man. I feel like you might have
in every
something.
episode. I keep saying, just get to a marathon, get faster, be Xavier. Everybody listening to this podcast, become Xavier. Do not become Nick.
I'm trying to get you to go run. I don't know, dude. If you're running that fast for 50 miles, you might have
There's no
something here.
Look, might be a future in ultra running.
Yeah.
Let's see.
But man, Xavier, I really appreciate you, man, taking some time, spending it with us.
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Sorry.
Yep.
Before I let you go, if you just tried to run a mile at your fastest, how fast would it be? I have to know. I would have been thinking about this all night. Like,
I'd say right now probably somewhere in the 420.
420.
But peak shape back in college maybe around 410.
Okay, just need to know that.
Well, that's another episode of the Yossers Running Podcast. I
That's so
really
crazy. My fastest
appreciate
was
you.
like 5 at the height of soccer, like maybe. And it's like he would have been a whole minute, like a lap and a half finished before me.
It's because you're super slow. You're
I was in
nobody.
first.
Yeah, you were in first in a bunch of average Joes. Man, get out of here. Quit thinking of yourself like that. Xavier, thank you so much. Who's the team you raced for? Where can they find
Can't
the
find them because they're
website?
party boys, and it got shut down.
They got shut down. Yeah, I guess true, right?
We're hoping to get the Instagram back up, but we'll see how that goes.
So the name of the team you're on?
Performance Elite
Running Club. I'll link the site in the show notes and bio. But you know what? We're going to see you for a part 2. We'll work this out on our schedule.
You don't have a personal Instagram?
Oh, you can link mine too. Xavier Smith _.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, and follow this journey. Stay tuned for part 2 because we're going to talk about how we can convince Xavier to run ultra marathons and what it's like
to get back into soccer. We could use some more players.
That too.
So look, you got away from all the bad influences and then you found us. But we appreciate you, man. Stick around for a second after I close this out. Yeah. That is another episode of the Yossers Running Podcast, an amazing one. So grateful for Xavier.
Much cooler than you.
Oh, everybody's
He's an
much
Olympic
cooler than me.
Qualifying runner.
He will be there, man. Tune in for the next episode that we have. We appreciate you for supporting us, listening to us through this journey. Follow Ostrich Running Podcast's weekly episodes. Please leave your reviews, your comments, share with your friends, your runners, your non-runners, your ultramarathon runners, marathon runners. I don't have a whole list. I'm actually
I got
to
it.
read something.
He had me. The minute he said he'll never run an ultra, he had me. He's my favorite guest.
Favorite guest. Oh, you hear that, guys? He already has one. All right. That's another episode. Thank you guys so much for joining. Cue that outro music.
Says you need to fly to reach the top. Keep beating your block till your feet are hot. Get your head out the sand, join the flock. It's okay to run scared, we enjoy it a lot. I'm an odd kid, like an ostrich. I got a pod, kids. Here's a topic. Blaze your own trail, don't be cautious. 2 birds, 1 stone's how I rock it. Can't make an omelet without breaking a shell. But the say grew up, now I'm raising hell. Haters gonna hate, yeah, they pray and you fail. So put in the work, whether pavement or trail. The grades fell down, but they got to the feet. Run your own race, put this pod on repeat. Shake your tail feather, keep nodding your beaks. Ostrich gang, or you're not my peep.